While Jesus had many disciples in Judea, he was not free to travel around Judea, because the Jews sought to kill him because of the things that he had declared and were expanded to us in John chapter 6. Jesus declaring that he had come down from heaven. He taught these things in the synagogue in Capernaum, and the people struggled to understand because his family and he were well known. They were part of the community. Tiberias was the new capital city because Tiberius Caesar was the new Caesar. But Jesus had grown up at Nazareth, along the ridge a little bit from Sepphoris, which previously had been the capital of that territory. And when he began his public ministry, he moved from Nazareth because the people of Nazareth did not receive him well, because of the claim that he was making that he had come down from heaven. There were strong religious communities, and it is probable that Nazareth was the centre of one of these Davidic communities that had a strong sense of who Jesus was, which had been why Joseph and Mary had settled in Nazareth. But they could not accept that Jesus was in fact the Messiah, and so he moved down to Capernaum to make that his base. And so, following on from the feeding of the 5,000 and the Passover that occurred at that time, we read in John chapter 7, "After these things Jesus walked in Galilee, for he did not want to walk in Judea, because the Jews sought to kill him. Now the Jews' feast of tabernacles was at hand. His brothers therefore said to him, Depart from here and go into Judea, that your disciples also may see the works that you are doing. For no one does anything in secret, while he himself seeks to be known openly. If you do these things, show yourself to the world. For even his brothers did not believe in him. Then Jesus said to them, My time has not yet come, but your time is always ready. The world cannot hate you, but it hates me because I testify of it, that its works are evil. You go up to the feast. I am not yet going up to this feast, for my time has not yet fully come. When he had said these things, he remained in Galilee. But when his brothers had gone up, he also went up to the feast, not openly as it were, but as it were in secret. Then the Jews sought him at the feast and said, Where is he? And there was much complaining among the people concerning him. Some said, He is good. Others said, No, on the contrary, he deceives the people. However, no one spoke openly of him, for fear of the Jews. Now about the middle of the feast, Jesus went up into the temple and taught, and the Jews marvelled, saying, How does this man know letters, having never studied? Jesus answered them and said, My doctrine is not mine, but his who sent me. If anyone wills to do his will, he shall know concerning the doctrine, whether it is from God, or whether I speak on my own authority. He who speaks from himself seeks his own glory. But he who seeks the glory of the one who sent him is true, and no unrighteousness is in him. Did not Moses give you the law? Yet none of you keeps the law. Why do you seek to kill me? My name's Arthur, and I thank you for joining me as we consider John chapter 7, and we've read verses 1 to 19. Jesus knew that God had a plan for him, and that at the following Passover he would be executed. But if he went up to Judea straight away and spent a lot of time there, the Jews would attack him before God's time and before he had completed training his disciples. God had a plan, and so Jesus was following that plan. So he spent this time travelling around Galilee, teaching particularly his disciples, building on the fact that he was the bread of life, that his words were the words of life, so that they would be prepared to carry on his ministry, although they had no idea at this stage that so soon he would be crucified. It seems that Nazareth was probably a community of descendants of David who were very focused on the messianic prophecy. And they knew Jesus, as the oldest brother, was therefore the heir to the throne. So while the Jews at large could debate about whether Jesus was the Messiah or not, his brothers knew that he had the title to this position, and they were pushing him that he should declare himself as the Messiah. And so they urged him to depart from here and go up to Judea, that your disciples also may see the works that you are doing. For there were many disciples in Judea. They had their friends and contacts there who were Messianic people. Indeed, Bethlehem was the city of David still, just outside Jerusalem. They wanted for Jesus to increase in popularity. But even there, their thinking was the same as those around, that Jesus would establish a kingdom like David. They had no concept that he must die on the cross first. But Jesus had said, as recorded in the previous chapter, "The bread that I shall give is my flesh, which I shall give for the life of the world," pointing to the fact that he will be executed, crucified, on behalf of the world, to take the punishment of the sin of the world, the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. Also concerning the timing of the trip, there were various groups within Judaism. We know of the Pharisees, we know of the Sadducees, we also know more recently of the Essene communities that gave us the Dead Sea Scrolls. These groups had different teachings and even different calendars in terms of when things should happen. And so the brothers followed one particular calendar, and they expected to be in Jerusalem at certain days. But Jesus declines to be part of their contingent of people going up to the feast at that time. For even his brothers did not believe in him. They didn't recognize that he was the Son of God, although they recognized that he was heir to the throne of David. So Jesus says to them, "It's not my time. Your time is always ready. The world cannot hate you, but it hates me, because I testify of it that its works are evil." So because Jesus was sensitive to the hate that was at work around him, he instructed them, "You go up to the feast. I am not yet going up to this feast, for my time has not yet fully come." He wouldn't be far behind them, but they went off without him. Interest in Jesus was very high. So everyone at the feast was saying, "Where is he?" Jesus was known to be a very righteous person, one who was very diligent in going up to the feasts in Jerusalem and participating in them. So they fully expected him to turn up, and yet he didn't seem to be there. The debate was strong, particularly among those who were expecting the Messiah. But they needed to be careful, because there were others, the Sadducees, who definitely were not expecting the Messiah, and they were the strongest group in charge of the temple, who completely condemned Jesus. But there were many others who were searching for the Messiah, who were wondering whether Jesus is the Messiah. And the debate was, some said he's good. He has to be good because of the miracles that he performs. But others said no, he is a deceiver. He's tricking us. Chapters 7, 8 and 9 of John are focused on this debate, because the conclusion we draw underpins our relationship with God and with Jesus Christ. Well, eventually, Jesus turns up. Those who hear him are amazed. How does this man know letters, having never studied? While he had some agreement with the Pharisees and with other groups, yet his teaching was different.